Hey everyone, welcome back to Pine Hollow Auto Diagnostics. It's another Friday afternoon, another case study after work. 2002 Chevy Trailblazer, inline 6. No crank, no start. The owner told me he was driving it, pulled up to a stop sign, it died. That's it, done. Here's what it does. Try to crank it, everything goes blank, absolutely nothing happens. Scanned it for codes, no codes. That's why I got the camera out. No codes, no crank. Where would you guys go next? On this system, I think it's a pretty standard starter relay controlled by the PCM. So let's go there and do our simple checks, maybe pull up a wiring diagram. By the way, we do have communication with the computer. All the data looks normal as far as I can tell right now. I'm wondering if there is a starter enabled. Fail enable, password okay, yes, everything's good, but the starter just plain does not engage. So again, let's go to the starter relay and do a couple checks there. Got our fuse box opened up. Mini relays 47 is starter. That's this guy. That would be this guy. So we don't even need a wiring diagram, we already have one right here. There's a pin layout, 87, 30, 86, and 85. Time for scope on a rope. Alright, we got the test light bundle connected across the control side, which is pins 86 and 85. So if you flip the relay around, it's going to be like that. Those two guys. See what happens when we crank it over. Keep watching the test light and crank. Absolutely nothing. Kind of what I expected because the vehicle did die, so the computer is, something's wrong with the computer control, I think. Let's check the control side, basically jump it and make sure the starter works. Alright, now we're doing pins 30 and 87 through a fuse jumper wire. Let's try it. Sweet, starter works. Control side issue. Now in this case we do need a wiring diagram because I want to know if it's power side switched, if there should be a constant ground, and we'll see what we're missing. Alright, before we go online, look up wiring diagrams. Test light connected to battery ground, and one of the control pins, I just picked one, through a test light. Let's see if there's a power feed on that guy. And then crank. Nothing. Interesting. So there's a power feed there. Now what I want to do is jump from here, from battery positive, to the other control side. So it must be ground side switched that the other one gave us the power when the key was on, right? Let's try it. Nothing. Alright, so if it is ground side switched, we have no control on the starter relay. In this case, we do need to find a wiring diagram to 100% be certain of the way the circuit's laid out. Alright, we got a wiring diagram pulled up for the starting circuit. There is our starter relay, and indeed it is fed in the run start position through the park neutral safety switch, so we did have that power, and it's controlled by the PCM on the ground side, and we're missing that. So what does it take to make the PCM ground that wire? Well, from the ignition switch, when you turn it to start, it should send voltage through this crank fuse, fuse 17, right to the PCM. So I think this crank fuse is key. We should check that we have a power on that when we're cranking the engine. Simple enough. Alright, fuse 17 right there. It is our crank fuse, and it lives right by the starter relay, this guy right here. So let's pull that out and hook up our test light, and we should have positive voltage on one of these pins. So let's try both of them. That's one. Strike one. And second pin. Strike two. Sweet. I like it. So now, if we don't have power on the crank fuse from the ignition switch, where does it come from? Battery positive, ignition A, fuse 34, 40 amp in the same distribution box. Let's go there. And by the way, we know that fuse is good because we jumped the load side of the relay and the starter worked. So where do we go? I think we're gonna go towards this ignition switch. So at the ignition switch, we'll pop the cover off, and we should make sure we have a power at this red wire. And I would think that would be good there because it works on lock, accessory, and run, but not start. But let's go to this ignition switch, make sure that red wire's hot, and see what's going on with this start circuit. Alrighty, so power distribution diagram. We want to see what all comes off of this ignition switch, what feeds it, and where the power goes. Now, let's focus on the start circuit. So the crank fuse is right there, and that's fed on this yellow wire, pin D on the ignition switch. We don't have that at the fuse, so we'll check that. And then it looks like everything here is fed off of the ignition A fuse 34, 40 ampere. And most of the other stuff in the run accessory position seems to be active. And we have power to our PCM, we have data. So we're mostly worried about the start circuit. And then, keep going here, start and run. This is pin C, pink wire. So that's, that might be a clue there. That feeds our, well, basically also a lot of stuff on the PCM. Okay. And remember, when we turn to start, the whole dash goes blank, everything goes blank, and we have no starter action. So this pink wire we want to monitor in all key positions, and also this yellow wire on pin D. So let's get to this ignition switch and do some checks. Got the steering column off. Our test lights work. This is the red wire. So let's see on the yellow wire if we get a crank signal. 1, 2, 3, nothing there. That's a problem. And then, what other wires do we have here? We have a red up top. Try to back probe this guy up here. Okay, there you go. Stay in. See what happens to the feed. It stays constant. And finally our pink wire. That's hot right now. That's hot and run. Hot and crank. Interesting. Anything that we're missing here? So I just want to make sure we're looking at. So red wire on pin F, and then the yellow wires on pin D. A, B, C, D, E, F. I assume it's A, B, C, D, and then the pink wire should be E. Let's double check that. Oh, pink wire is, it says C. A, B, C, D, E, F. Okay, so it starts from the top. The pink wire is C, yellow wire is D, red wire is F. I like it. So what's our problem? We don't have anything on that guy. So what we're gonna do is kind of be the ignition switch, turn it to on, and then simply connect pin F to pin D through a fused jumper wire, and that would be this red wire to that yellow wire. So let's try that. Let's pop the starter relay back in and pop our crank fuse back in. Should be good. I mean, you already replaced that. And let's get a fuse jumper wire. Alright, so keys on, dash is lit up. Now we're connecting pin F to pin D, the red wire, pin F to pin D on the start circuit. Here goes nothing. Alrighty, nothing happened. Let's try again. Nothing. Well, that didn't go as planned. What did we forget to do here? Crank fuse is in, relay's in. What are we missing here? Let's put in a test light again. In here, I just want to make sure we're getting signal from the ignition switch to here. Aha, victory. So, see the light is lit when we're jumping red to yellow. Disconnect that guy. No more light. So our yellow wire is good from there to the crank fuse. Cool? Cool. Now we know that that is the feed pin, so that must go through the relay, you know, to the PCM. So basically, when you turn the ignition switch, two things have to happen. We're feeding the starter on the start circuit through the crank fuse. So right now, the first thing we know is bad is the ignition switch. 100% guaranteed we're not getting a power feed on that yellow wire in the crank position. So basically, this contact right here, no good. NEW, this is the original one. Now, second problem, the PCM is not grounding that wire when we crank the vehicle. Problem number 2, right? Why would that be? So this kind of sucks because we could have been done. It is a bad ignition switch, but there's also another problem. Why did the vehicle stop running? There's all the other wires that need to be hot in, you know, crank and run are there. So basically, what we can try to do is turn a key to on, manually jump the starter, see if it runs, and that'll at least tell us that, you know, the computer is operational. Then we'll figure out why the control side's messed up. Here we go. Key is on, ready to go. Manual bypass test on the starter. Connect these two guys through a fuse jumper. Does not run. Also expected because the thing stalled out for no reason. So now we're going towards the PCM, Powers and Grounds. Right? This PCM has no control of the starter relay, even though it communicates and gives you data and stuff. So pretty interesting, huh? Alright, so we're not going to mess around with this stupid thing. I took it out, the new one, put the old one back in. We're back on the yellow wire. Here's what should happen in the crank position. Ready? Boom. Nice. Right? On, crank, nothing. But the light lights up, so this switch is good. Built-in problem. Put this fuse back in. Put this relay back in. Obviously it's not going to start. The PCM is not grounding it, but at least we have a good feed to it now. Right? Good. Now, here's my question. How does the PCM know when to ground the starter relay? Is that like a, you know, you turn it to on, it says like starter enabled, it grounds the pin, and then when you turn it to crank, you provide the power, circuit completes, starter engages. So that pin should be grounded whenever the computer is happy, you know, to go ahead and start this truck. So let's go back to our scanner for a little bit. And go to data. And see what happens when we turn it to crank. Our data is still updating. Turn it to off, or run, still good. Turn it to accessory, and now it's not updating. Actually, it still is. Take the key out. So the PCM is still alive. Might be a GM thing. So, just a second. Where's my pen? All right. Turn the key on. We see a security light, and it goes out. Good deal, right? In the theft deterrent menu, I can't for the life of me communicate with this thing, so I'm not sure if it has a separate module for this or if it's controlled through the BCM or not. According to the wiring diagram, well, anything could be tied into the PCM. So if the PCM is not grounding it and not letting the car run, that could be a problem. But you would at least expect some kind of code in the PCM, right? And right now we have no codes present. So that's that. Oh, where do we want to go here? Functional test. Let's see if we can just command some stuff on and off. Vent solenoid, purge solenoid, air pump. Nope. I want to hear something click. Fuel pump relay. Here we go. On. Off. On. Off. Nothing. Very interesting. Okay. So, what does it take to make this computer activate stuff? Do we have a power or ground issue on this computer? Even though it's talking, it has more than one power and ground, right? So my thought is go back to our engine control diagram and just look at these powers and grounds. See, it's zoom in on this guy a little bit. Oh, come on, stop it. Ah. Just for kicks, I went into OBD2 to see which tests in the mission system were complete. Obviously, this truck has been messed with already, but we do have some complete tests, so the computer seems to be alive. Now here's something else weird. I can't do a bidirectional test on the fuel pump relay. It just says off. I don't hear it run. Got nothing. If you press the gas pedal, throttle position sensor seems to respond just fine. Man, this is not as straightforward as I thought it would be. Why do we have no bidirectional controls of anything? Let's try let's try purge solenoid. How about that? I want to see if anything on this computer works. Test. Purge percent. That doesn't work. vent solenoid. Where's the vent solenoid? There you go, vent solenoid on or off? On, off. No clicky. No bidirectional control. What the heck? Oh. Okay, I hear it clicking. So it did 4 clicks, I guess. Off, on. What kind of bidirectional control is this? Off, on. Come on. Click. This is crazy. It did click. It didn't click there. Something is messed up with our with the computer, isn't it? Is it trying? It clicked those 2 times, not those 3 times. Isn't it supposed to be just on or off? This is nuts. Are we dealing with a bad ground? Why the heck would the vent solenoid do this? Yeah, I've never seen a bidirectional control do something random like this. And it knows when it's on or off. Off. You would think it would throw some kind of code for this. I mean, that's not normal. Let me see, AC relay. Can't turn the fuel pump relay on. Let's see. Where's our AC relay? PID. I guess we could change our list to evap accessory data. AC relay on or off. Let's see, on. Cannot be commanded on with engine running or dash control off. Interesting. Okay. But the fuel pump, it has to be able to command that on. I really hope it's a bad ground. We already found one problem. The new ignition switch is faulty for sure, 100%. But now we're actually going after the real problem. So fuel pump we can't command on, it looks like. Starter we can't engage. Now the vent solenoid only draws 1/2 amp. I mean, if that's having a hard time doing its thing, for sure, it might be a bad ground at the computer. Where was our where's our fuel solenoid? Fuel relay, fuel pump relay on. Just gonna let it run for a little bit, see what happens. Do a little key tap test here. No control for the fuel pump. Okay. How can this not throw code? I don't know. Codes menu. No codes present. You see it, you believe it. Let's take a look at that wiring diagram. Look for grounds.